From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello. Welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We are joined, as always, with our super producer, Paul, mission control, decadent in spirit. Most importantly, you are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. Hold the phone. This is a very special episode for us, you guys. I am looking not at a computer screen. I'm not looking at like a screaming pet somewhere in someone's Zoom background.
You're looking at our dead-eyed stares.
Yeah, I'm looking at your Kirsten Dunst dead-eye stare, and I love it. I love it. I would cast you an interview with a vampire.
These icy blues.
We're in person, you guys. We're in person, and we're going in a totally different direction. We've had our heads down in the trenches, as they would say, working on a ton of other stuff. You know, we have that book coming out, all that stuff. And we wanted to get back with our roots. We wanted to relax and just have an in-person conversation. I know it sounds old to say that, or it sounds pre-pandemic, but just like sit down with each other as buddies.
We just returned from Austin, and we got to do this in person a little bit at weird places, like the Museum of the Weird.
Oh, yeah, literally weird place.
And just hang. And we decided we're not going to do it alone, though, this time. We got somebody here with us.
That's right. We received an email from a dear, dear friend of ours who said, after the damaging time they had appearing on our show a few years ago, they've recovered fully and are returning again with us today. Fellow conspiracy realists, you know him, you love him, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lucky Yates.
What's up, babies?
That was a serious point you just did, Ben.
I'm here to get my reputation back after you guys destroyed it last time.
We do that.
With my dodo theory.
So...
The dodos are still alive out there.
I like the dodo cryptid. I still think about that one.
What about the puffin? You know, the puffin is sort of like the modern dodo.
No, not at all. The pigeon is the modern dodo, my friend.
The pigeon is the
Is this a hot take? Is this another hot take?
Get your dodo lore right, son.
What do you guys think about that cereal, Puffins? Have you had it? It's pretty good.
So Puffin cereal.
Yeah.
Puffin cereal.
The healthy Captain Crunch, you mean?
Exactly. Thank you. You know what, though? It doesn't cut up the roof of your mouth with the same level of,
what
satisfaction than Captain Crunch. Yeah.
Puffins are weak.
How else does it deliver the
Sea
flavor?
captains are strong.
Wait, hold on. Let's talk about this.
What?
Was there a conspiracy to cut all of our mouths up with various cereals when we were a little bit younger in the 80s, 90s?
I always heard the conspiracy that MSG creates magical flavor by making tiny cuts in your mouth.
Whoa.
Not true.
Yeah, it's not true, but I definitely have heard that repeated, like people repeat things like that with utter confidence.
Delicious by 1,000 cuts.
Okay, yeah, you know what? You're coming up with movie titles at this point. This is, and I love them. We've got to see this. This conversation's going to go in a lot of directions. Since we last spoke, Lucky, so much shit happened.
Oh, my God.
UFOs are real. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Check that one right. Yeah.
Things got bad enough in the world that world governments finally said, you know what, fine, get high.
There was this virus,
a
pandemic.
Yeah.
There was a whole pandemic that a lot of people just didn't believe in. This isn't happening.
Right.
It's not really happening.
What did you do? Where have your adventures led you? How did you survive the pandemic since we spoke? When did we last get together on air?
Oh, my God. I don't know. How old is this T-shirt that I'm wearing? It's older than 3 years old. I would like to point out, gentlemen, that this T-shirt has been in constant rotation. It's never been taken out. It's been worn consistently and proudly.
Oh gosh.
So
Lucky has it's the first shirt that we ever produced. It's like the worst font, but it's
a very
clean.
Text-driven design.
It's nothing but type.
We had a budget.
With some white and red letters, and the red letters from more than 3 feet away, you do not know what they say.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we owe you another shirt.
No, not at all. I love this shirt. I will take one if you've got more to spare.
They're coming, baby.
So
What have I done? How did I survive the pandemic? Oh my God, where do we begin? Well, I started streaming as soon as everything shut down. I clicked on Instagram Live, and every night for 9 months I streamed something weird. I started a religion based on the dodos that we talked about on my last episode.
That's right.
I created a whole mythology about the dodos.
Well, you can't call it a myth if it's a religion, right?
Oh no, we very much own up to the fact that it is a myth.
I like the transparency of your cult.
100%. I also don't ask for money from anybody, so it's like a real deal.
But if they happen to shower you with it, so be it.
I mean, but it would never be asked for. I wouldn't. I don't even know where they would put it because I'm not setting up any kind of Venmo
in the
or
plate, man. They got to put it
thing
in the
is,
golden
though,
plate.
Here's the deal. Okay, so Gladys the Holy Dodo was a savior. Is our savior figure. Do you want the mythology?
Yes.
I can drop
Yeah.
this shit on you right now.
Yeah.
I haven't had to do this speech since let's see, October of 2020. Okay, let's see. As you may or may not know, fellas, dodos were a divine species here on the earth. The other divine species, of course, were the unicorns and the wizards.
Narwhals, perhaps.
And the elves. You know what? The narwhals are always asked for, but the jury is still out on them. Okay. We don't know enough about them yet. The T-Rexes, of course, were, though. The T-Rexes were a divine species. Okay, so the dodos were living in their little hidden island paradise of Mauritius, just loving life. They lived there with the unicorns before they left, and everybody was just a beautiful, beautiful place. And they would sit in their bubbling pools of sparkling water all night long, smoking bowls of the elven pipe weed and discussing life in all of its majesty. And then one day a ship rolled up onto shore, and the dodos were like, what the fuck is that thing? And then all these men started climbing off of the ship, and they were like, what are those things? And then the men started just murdering everything on the island.
Sounds familiar.
And so the dodos were like, well, fuck this. Those guys are a bunch of assholes. We're going back to the Undying Lands with the wizards and the elves and the T-Rexes and the unicorns. And we're just going to peace out from this place because we don't like and if they found us here on our little hidden sacred island, then they're all over this globe, so we're out. Except for Gladys. Gladys said, you know what, fellow dodo kind? I have faith that mankind can get its shit together and stop being a bunch of assholes. So I'm going to stick around, see if I can guide them in the right direction. So they said, good luck. They pushed off on their longboats. Off they went to the Undying Lands. Gladys stayed behind for 21 years trying to work with the men. And she saw no signs that they would ever get their shit together and stop being a bunch of assholes. So she peaced out. And as she was pushing offshore on her magical longboat, she turned back to man and she said, okay, mankind, if you ever can get your shit together and stop being a bunch of assholes, I'll come back. Not only will I come back, I'll bring all the dodos back with me. And you don't even know the cool shit we can do. You just started murdering and eating us. Not only will I bring the dodos back, I'll bring the unicorns. What?
What about the T-Rexes, though?
Not only will I bring the unicorns, I'll bring the motherfucking T-Rexes. So praise Gladys, mankind, stop being a bunch of assholes so we can get the dodos and the unicorns and the motherfucking T-Rexes.
Well, because dodos and unicorns seem relatively docile, but like a bunch of T-Rexes rolling, I mean, that seems dangerous.
No.
It seems like a recipe for disaster.
No.
I'm sorry to naysay. I'm just asking questions.
No.
Yes, sir.
I think if history has proved anything, you give man 6 months and we'll be riding those T-Rexes all over town.
Like that show Dino Riders.
It's going to be just like Chris Pratt in the Jurassic World movies.
You know what's fascinating about this? First off, that's a wild ride, and thank you. But what's fascinating is you have great timing here to tell us this story. The synchronicity is fascinating to us because just this week, we looked into something called de-extinction. It's a real thing that's happening. Like the idea, like, hey, let's just fuck around and bring back
let's
mammoths.
bring back the mammoth. Yeah, let's see what let's see what happens.
Yeah, or the thylacine or whatever. And dodos are actually really good candidate for this because they went extinct so recently.
Yeah, and there's, the pigeons are like distant relatives of them, and so there's, I think, enough swimming around in there that you can really start kickstarting it all.
When did the term dodo become like a term of abuse? You call somebody a dodo, that means they're a dum-dum.
Because men thought they were stupid birds because they had no natural enemies and they were just naturally trusting, and they were kind of goofy. They were like a ground bird and big, and they walked kind of goofy. And they were just completely trusted men. They would walk right up to them, and then they would kill them and eat them.
And people knew how bad people were. Like they were very, what you could say about humans in general is they tend to be self-aware as groups. Like nobody is saying, I think that we're doing totally good things.
So what makes penguins a more successful species than the dodo? They feel
swim.
similarly.
Yeah, they can swim in frozen water.
They can dart around underwater.
Yeah.
That's true. Dodos couldn't do that shit.
No, they had little tiny wings. They were on the ground.
Big eggs, easy targets for
big
predators.
Eggs for the dogs and the pigs that mankind brought to the island. It just took care of those ground nests.
Can't really hide those
full of eggs real quick. They went fast.
They did, yeah.
The ones who died now.
Okay.
Most of them got on the longboats and pieced the hell out.
Right.
There
on
were
message.
a lot
To the undying
there.
lands. So, Matt, what were you going to?
Oh, I was just wondering, like, I wonder what Gladys thinks about right now as we're entering back into, I don't know, perhaps a world war. Like, how does she feel about mankind right now?
I think she realizes that 1 in 20 years / 220 years, it really makes no difference.
No.
Mankind cannot get its shit together. We're just a bunch of murder apes.
Murder apes.
What are you going to do about it? We love killing.
So it feels like you've really dug deep into this philosophy over the pandemic.
I had weekly, every Sunday night, I did a service. There were regular worshipers that would show up every week. And at one point I thought, oh my God, is this legit? Like, could I go tax-free? Like, I think I have a choice because I am a Universal Life Church minister. I'm not faking it. So I had a real ministry going on. And I'm like, I think there's still people that throw Praise Gladys around as their bless you type thing. Praise Gladys.
What's the barrier to entry, though, for getting incorporated in that way and being tax-free? I know Scientology kind of had to fight for it a bit, but what's the true barrier to entry to prove that you are worthy?
Universal Life Church has it all worked out, and I think you just have to have an ongoing service where there is a regular audience coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know that it has that. Well, that because of the pandemic, and that's what I sort of stumbled on while I was doing it. I was like, wait, this is kind of where everything is headed anyway. And so many churches have been on TV all along. Oh my God, am I creating a thing? Wait a minute.
It's awesome, man. Well,
and then but when I stopped, my 16-year-old dog really started falling apart.
Abe,
good old Abe Jackson. And so I hit a wall, man, because I was doing something every night online. And so I hit a wall. Abe went down. Then he died right before Christmas. And then I just didn't go back to the thing. And so, I don't know. But I could kickstart that thing anytime. I still know the myth clearly.
Yeah.
I can just. That's pretty much.
I think you should
as
do
I
it.
said it. I mean,
I think it would be fascinating for us on this show to have a fly in the wall perspective of someone who has actually managed to go tax free with a philosophy or religion that they discovered.
The other cool thing is where I live. I live in an old warehouse that was converted to lofts back in '99. And when they set up all the bylaws, there was nothing in the neighborhood. Atlanta didn't realize it was going to be the Atlanta of right now. And I can run a business out of I can live in my place. I can run a business out of my place. I can live in it and run a business out of my place. Awesome. I am allowed to do all that, so I could technically turn my place into a sanctuary or whatever.
That's awesome. You should do it.
I know.
Is it accessible to the Beltline, though?
100%.
Okay.
A mere staircase away.
That's where all the true believers
We're
on the Beltline.
right above Nina and Rafi. You can go get your slice of pizza pie. Well, you can get a slice up at Glide, which is on premises.
Oh,
wow,
okay.
dude.
So it's so we're looking at a sanctuary that is walkable.
Yeah.
That also has food.
Yeah.
Right. And I think would this be the first church on the Beltline?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
You might have a thing here.
Because if that's something, lean into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to totally lean into that. I'm just going to set up a little booth.
Yeah.
Life advice.
Yeah.
Wait, like a banana stand kind of situation, like
a
right at the edge?
A confession booth.
Yeah.
Speaking of confessions and questions, this is something we thought
excited
would
about
be
this.
interesting. Went on Twitter earlier, just last night, and then asked if there were any weird questions people wanted to ask Lucky. So we've got a couple. First, I guess we'll start with this. This is going to be the hard-hitting journalism.
I'm ready.
Right?
I can't wait.
Gotcha? You got some gotchas?
Yeah, strap the fuck in.
Oh,
All right.
All right. So
hold on.
So StockX says, I want to ask him more about Archer, but, quote, I remember he wasn't so thrilled about the show, which is not the sense I got.
What?
Yeah, that kind of blew me away.
No,
I didn't even respond.
That's completely untrue. I don't know who said that.
StockX.
I love Archer. I'm a huge fan of the show that I happen to be on.
Yeah, I know. It's like you're such a huge fan.
it's
You're
like
also
this
in it.
Double. Yeah, it's like the best of everything.
Tis a fine show.
And it's still amazing. Like I'm recording an episode on Monday, and the script is hilarious. Like the writers we've got going now are clearly big fans of the show. And so everybody is just at their bonkers most them, all the characters. It's so much fun.
That's got to be fun to have a show that's been long running like that and have new writers come in that kind of like came up watching the show that they're now on and get it.
Re-energized everything, right?
That's
like
great.
they were all written for 9.5 seasons by Adam Reed. And he was just like, oh my God, I'm so like these people arguing in my head. I'm so tired of it. I just can't do it. And so, they finally had to go, dude, we can use other writers. And he finally just had to say, okay, take my baby and write. And they're amazing. The scripts are amazing.
That's wonderful, man. Because like this is, I know I don't think we talked too much about it in the last time it came on air, and I was also surprised by that question because every time we've had the conversation, you've said the same thing.
Right.
You've been like, I love the show so much that I'm on it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is the ultimate fandom. So we've cleared that up.
Well,
for you,
here's
StockX.
and if I may
Yes.
address StockX directly. With this horrible accusation. It's really not. Here's what I think is going to happen. And one of the things that I'm going to say downside, even though it's not really, it's easily handled. But when I was streaming every night for 9 months, literally a little community formed around the regulars. They started their own little Discord. 2 of them are dating now. Like, it's crazy that there's the little group of friends that grew out of this thing, right? Mm-hmm. But they also sort of became a little territorial when it came to the chat feed, right? And I was doing shows, right? It wasn't just me sitting in front of a camera. Like it was always a not fully formed idea, just an idea that I was like locked into. And it was like, this hour is going to be this and
sometimes
this alone.
Leaning into puppetry and so on.
Right. Yeah. There were different themes for every night. But if anybody, a lot of people would just drop in and just start throwing Archer questions around, which, is naturally natural if, somebody on a show you like is doing a live and Instagram and you're going to click over and you're just going to start throwing your con questions. And I would always say, hey, I'm actually doing this thing. This isn't a con, But, so I'm just not doing Archer questions. Well, my wonderful, amazing, supportive little group really sort of took it on themselves to become the police of the crowd to stop them from tipping my cart or doing, I don't know what their intentions were good. The execution, not so much.
We get that. We actually had I'm not going to name names, but a local curmudgeonly comedic personality posts some hot takes on Here's Where It Gets Crazy Facebook group when Ben proudly announced the So That I Want You to Know book that's coming up. Just kind of an assholey comment.
Congratulations, by the way. A book is a huge accomplishment.
Very excited. But yeah, and it was a very assholey, dismissive take on conspiracy shows writ large, right? Which is this. Right. Obviously, this is not what the show is. The show is, we always say, a critical thinking approach to conspiracies. We look at all sides. We have 100%. Conversations. We get where we get organically. We're not trying to tell anybody what to believe. But this dude clearly had never listened to the show, and then our lovely group just kind of dogpiled on the man. To be fair, I kind of think he had it coming because it was an ill-informed thing to say. He wasn't reading the room at all,
right?
And that's what you get.
And that's so, like, I'm sure StockX probably jumped on a thing, said something, and I might have said, hey, that's not what this is, or the rest of the group just like, roar, and then he thought, Lucky Yates hates Archer.
For StockX, no, and I think it's clear that Stock is a huge fan of yours, definitely a listener to the show, but we told you, we warned you, it was hard-hitting journalism.
Amen. I take all questions. I'm afraid of nothing.
Oh, man, there's so much more to talk about here with Lucky. We're going to go to a quick sponsor break, and then we'll be back with more. And we're back.
Well, I actually have a question for, or at least a topic of conversation, and it's just something that I don't think we've spoken about at length. You mentioned a radio station that you had interactions with and I think worked with
right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
96 Rock, baby.
96 Rock.
It was
formerly, in the iHeartRadio / iHeartMedia family.
Yes.
Formerly, what did they used to be? Clear Channel?
Yes,
Clear Channel.
yes. But 96 Rock was the quintessential station for me. That one, 99X, was a big part of my life too. But like 96 Rock was huge in my world. Yeah. I wonder what it was like working in a radio station at that time. Like, what's our date ranges?
Dumb.
Like,
it was turn of the century, the early 2000s, because I was doing the Lucky Yates talk show at Dad's Garage, and there was a piece written about me that was like in the Sunday AJC, and then Larry Wax from the Regular Guys read it, and then they brought me in on that show, and we had a really good time, and so they would just keep bringing me back, and then eventually I would just start going in the mornings because I could get up and it was right up the street. And so I just liked hanging around because I could jump on air a lot. And then they just started letting me screen phone calls. And then I was sort of working there. I was always just gigging, right? Like I was the free money moron for 96 Rock for a while. I dressed up in a superhero outfit. And I was supposed to run around and give people money, but then we realized just what a horrible idea that was. Like, there's a man in tights with a wad of cash, and here's where he's going to be. And we were like, okay, let's not do that. So I ran around with the corporate credit card, and I would like run into Walmart or pizza joints or just wherever we would run in, me and whoever my handler was. And I would just like, I'll pay for that, madam, I'm the free money moron from 96 Rock. And I would pay for their thing, their cart full of groceries.
It's amazing.
Dude, so in my hometown, it was 95 Rock. Oh, related?
One less.
Yeah. I don't know.
One less rock.
Yeah. It was a golden time, though, like in the 90s and early aughts. Without, you'd go to the radio station, you'd win some contest, and you'd get like 1,000 notched CDs, you know?
Oh, yeah. Going into the prize room, I was always hitting up the promo guy, like, hey, man, can I go in there? Like, I had my first iPod from there. Just be like, yeah, man, take this.
For anyone that doesn't know, notched CDs were like, they literally had like a groove cut in the side with like a fucking like saw blade or something. And it was so you knew they were not for resale. But guess what? You go to CD Warehouse, warehouse?
They don't
what
know.
did you see?
Nothing but notches.
CD.
Yeah, CD Warehouse didn't know about those notches.
No.
Wow. Well, is there anything else just from that time or from radio or just anything that would be that you might consider stuff they didn't want you to know at the time?
Lots of payola, right?
Like back.
I imagine
Well,
it was
not-
just
not-
completely. It was
not at a iHeart facility. Never.
no, of course.
We all
It,
took the
was
class.
like it was sleazy salespeople, and
Yes.
I mean, it was still like they were running on the 1980s program still, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just like the broier they were, the bigger brah, the higher up the ladder they were, and it was just a lot of people scrambling to be the new hot shot. But it was also the like pre-recorded, like there wasn't nobody was doing live radio except in the mornings. Like the regular guy show was a live show. All the AM stuff, WGST and all that was live radio. But all the like cool music stations, they were just like, they would go in there and they would record their little intros and all that kind of stuff and do their whole show. It would take them like an hour to do a 4-hour show.
Wow.
And then they would go and, fuck off for the
The
day.
rotation was all predetermined too.
100%. They had the list of like, here's the songs you're introducing, here are the commercials you're doing, here's the thing. And they would just go in and record all their crap for the day. And then the computers would play it later on.
Okay, so they're like, and that was Spoon Man by Soundgarden. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
You're
1
on the
hour.
buzz.
Yeah. You're on the buzz
That
with
was
2 hands in the
Hoobastank.
gooch.
Yeah. And on the buzz, they all had weed names. All the DJs had, I'm Dank. One of my buddies was Dank.
Wow.
And none of them smoked weed either. Hey, it's me.
Entirely
Dank,
performative.
Dank on the buzz.
I feel like that's an ethical quandary. I know the FCC won't get at you about that, but I feel like if you're running a show that is heavily implying that you are so into weed that your street name is Dank, you should at least be doing an edible or something.
But again, this is like 2000, 2001 when
were
just
no
like edibles.
edibles.
No, it didn't exist. There was some, somebody, your weird uncle was cooking brownies, and it was just like, oh my God.
I know we take for granted like how many flavors and potencies and exactly what type for what personality you have is available now.
What's your strain?
It's absurd.
Let's talk a little bit about that because
Let's do. It's my favorite subject in the whole wide world.
Yeah, you've been you and I have known each other for a number of years, and now we all have known each other for a number of years. Probably the only person at our company who's known you longer is the legendary, infamous Jonathan Strickland.
You mean the Quizmaster?
Yeah, the Quizster.
Close.
We've got some
Quizster?
questions actually.
From him?
Yeah.
He lurks. He is a lurker.
I know.
On the internet, let me tell
Lucky's
you.
first question, actually, before we started rolling, was, is he going to be coming through? So I don't know what's going on with you guys. We'll save that for later in the show. But
Nothing's going on with us.
Okay.
Or is there?
You're in the right place. So this is a question. I established this background only to say that for the entire time that we've known each other, you have been a vocal proponent for
Pro-pod advocate.
Yes. Yeah.
100%.
You're an advocate. Yeah.
It really is a life-changing plant for me. It puts me in the groove that I could never find my entire life, and it would always just cause panic and anxiety and everything. And we just goes like, here, you can be right here, and this is the good place. And I'm just like, oh, everything is completely manageable.
It doesn't turn you instantly into a rapist and murderer?
No,
sure?
nor does it turn me into a lazy bones. I've never been more productive.
No, it's true. Again, a strain for every mood, for every personality
That's it.
type. There's some that make you a little more like, "Ooh-doo-doo, I'm going to get things done."
Zippy,
And some
I like
that
zippy.
make you down on the couch. We call it indica couch, right? But now you can get like hybrid combinations of all of that stuff,
Yeah.
So this is where,
If only it were legal here in this state.
right. So this is one of
We're getting there.
One of the questions I have for you. Yeah, we are in the U.S. seeing kind of a paradigm shift, a sea change, but I know this is something you take really seriously. So in your opinion, what tipped the scale? Like for a long time, people like groups like Normal were saying like,
Yeah,
hey,
right.
listen, the science is here.
Yeah.
It's alcohol is
weed
way more
festivals.
dangerous.
Let's talk about like 90s and 2000s, like during the weed festivals, like 420 Fest and stuff like that, were tiny little hilarious hippie. They would have a stage and there would be like maybe 100 people hanging around and all that kind of stuff. Just nothing. So yeah, are you asking me what tipped the scales toward
the move?
Corporate adoption.
Yeah, like on a state level, the move toward first, I would say, medicinal marijuana usage, and then decriminalization, and then outright just legal.
I mean, I suppose it's a bit of getting a half a century away from the Nixon the Nixon message. He's the one that started the war on drugs and made weed, I think, a class 1. And then it was backed up by the Reagans in the 80s. I think maybe just enough time away and an odd phenomenon of, it seems, an entire generation of kids that have either or both anxiety and ADHD. Really weird. I don't know what's going on. Like, I am an ADHD, anxiety-ridden kid, and I'm a Gen Xer. But man, you get into the generations after me, your millennials, your Gen Zers, it's nothing but. That's like, it's the entire, so I think it's just, hey man, we got to control this. And, adults like me who are like, weed has always been great. And so now we're of age to be in charge of things. And we're going to try to finally knock it into the thing. And then I don't know, what was the first state that broke?
Colorado.
Was it Colorado, both medicinally and?
I think they were the first to go to decriminalization.
Yeah.
Like they were the
California
forefront.
too. I think when they made the medical cards so easy to get in California, all you needed really was $200, and then you could go to a dispensary. And just the proof is always in the pudding and in the banks, where you're like, look at all the money we're making. And also, nobody is causing crimes because of this.
But they have much more of an appreciation for reggae. Those albums are selling like hotcakes.
Hey, man, all music is amazing.
Can I add one quick thing? There's an interesting law Ben and Matt and I were just talking about in New York. It's been decriminalized for a while. It's been outright legalized, and now the way is being paved for like brick and mortar, shops. But I don't know if this is anywhere else in the country, but their law is kind of giving priority to folks with former marijuana convictions for being first in line to get the licenses to open these shops.
Which is amazing.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's, of course, people that are saying it's racist, against white people, which is not a thing.
Stupid. And also just stupid.
It's very stupid. It's very short-sighted. It's just, again, wanting to create an argument out of nothing.
Yeah, it's also a nation of selfish babies.
1,000,000%.
Oh, yeah.
But I just think it's a neat precedent to set, because so many people's lives were ruined by having a dime bag of weed.
So we're going to give you guys the first opportunity to turn this into a business. Yeah. Sorry we fucked you over so bad. You guys are first in line. If you want to make some money off of this new situation, then here's your license.
Which I think is surprisingly inspiring.
It's the least the system can do.
It is literally the least you can do.
The very least.
So I've got to throw this in because we are going to get some emails. Let me help everybody out. If you are halfway through the email, don't worry. You can put it in drafts. We've got the facts. California was the first state, like you said, to legalize medicinal cannabis, and that was in 1996. Recreational cannabis comes from Colorado and Washington in 2012.
Yeah, the same time.
And they made a ton of money.
That's another
that
issue.
went into schools.
Yeah.
That was the other brilliant
and roads,
thing.
infrastructure, things that no one else will pay for.
Yeah.
Gosh. Sorry, I just had a thought here, guys. It was a very Black Mirror thought as you're describing that law in New York. And I was just imagining a version of the future where homicide becomes illegal because there are just too many humans, not enough resources.
It's decriminalized.
Yes, they make it.
It's called The Purge.
A business, and they give like serial killers and other mass murderers first choice for creating a business and to monetize the.
That's really good, Matt. So that's very good. That's a cool twist on this idea. I like that a lot.
There is an amazing comic book series called Red Room. by
yes.
a guy named Ed Piskor in Pittsburgh. And it is, it's people who are like doing grisly murders on the dark web for like Bitcoin.
I saw that. Oh, also.
And it is, it's a, gruesome, deliciously gruesome comic book.
And then, of course, there's that subplot in The Sandman with the serial killer convention.
Love it.
One of my favorites. And that's sort of, I like the idea of this demystifying or sort of making things like grisly murder sort of boring and procedural.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that's interesting about it. Yeah.
We've got a Lucky, I don't know if you're going to get to it, so I'm going to push you into doing this. Word on the street is you have made the move from comic and graphic novel fan to comic graphic novel creator.
It's true.
Cool.
Lester of the Lesser Gods is
That's a
the
great
name
name.
of my comic book.
That's cool.
Myself and Eric Powell, who is he runs Albatross Funny Books. His work is The Goon. If you're aware
love
of The
The Goon.
Goon,
Wow.
that's Eric. He
Whoa.
writes and draws that book. And he does Hillbilly, and he's got a whole big
Hillbilly is great.
batch of titles. He just had an Ed Gein graphic novel that came out last year. And it's called Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Did?
Oh, wow.
And
A bunch of stuff,
it is,
it turns
as
out.
far as I am concerned, the quintessential telling of that story. It is gorgeous. And we snuck Lester out into the world. He was getting all this big buzz about the Eddie Gein book, and we just snuck our little one-off. It's Lester's origin story. And then we're picking it back up. He's got an anthology book coming out called Albatross Funny Book. And it's going to be a running story in there.
Wow.
Lester.
So where can I find it right now?
At your local comic book shop, or go to, I'm assuming, albatrossfunnybooks.com. I don't know. I don't do the business part. That's all Eric's biz.
Just Google it.
Lester of the Lesser Gods. So it's a post-apocalyptic fantasy. It takes place that Satan causes an immediate, very Thundar the Barbarian inspired. I don't know if you know that show.
yeah.
Thundar the Barbarian inspired, where things just change immediately. Like there's magic and there's all like.
Is that the one with the blobby guy?
Yeah,
the little gluey boy?
No, that's the Herculoids.
Okay,
No,
sorry.
Herculoids,
No, you can see how
Thundar
I might.
the Barbarian
yes.
They're in the same era.
It's Thundar, Princess Ariel, and Ukla the Mock, who was their
Yes.
Chewbacca.
So that it's just so interesting to me because as a kid watching those, I was obsessed with the backstory.
Yeah.
And they never really bother to explain it.
That's
in a way.
what the one-off is.
Okay.
Is Lester's story.
Okay.
So it turns out that the apocalypse happens, and then Lester finds out that he's the bastard son of Odin. And so he's a god, he's a demigod, and he can sort of claim the earth in the name of good and defeat evil. If he defeats all evil, he'll get to live in the basement of Valhalla, which is what he is. And he's a 36-year-old like LARP nerd.
The basement of
So
Valhalla?
it's everything he's ever wanted. He's never really fit into the real world. But when the apocalypse happens, he finds out he's a god and he's ready to rock.
But is it like a full in-law suite, or like what is the basement actually?
Is it an unfinished basement?
Yeah.
It'll be wood paneling and just an Afghan on an old ratty couch.
Yeah, one of those lazy boy recliners that seems timeless.
Yeah. A couple of like some duct tape patching up a rip.
It's got the
a
cup holder.
Budweiser like light up.
Except it'll be a Nordic beer or whatever
There
that
we go.
is.
So that's out now. I have that on my list. I wanted to check it out as well. I didn't know.
I should have brought some in. I didn't even think about it.
I thought you were talking about a friend's comic book. I didn't know that you actually wrote it.
Yeah, I'm writing it. Well,
That's
so
awesome.
the first issue, Eric, myself, and a guy named Matt Cushing wrote the first one, and we were. Once upon a very long time ago, it was developed as a TV pitch because we had a development deal with Turner for just a couple of years, and then once that deal lapsed, It became ours again, and then we decided to do it as a comic. And it was Eric and my book from the get-go. We brought in some others folks to get us going on the book, and then now it's just Eric and I again.
That's cool, man. Yeah. So I'm glad it's continuing. And
yeah, it's great because I just sit around and write these goofy stories and then send them to Eric.
You're involved with so much stuff.
And then he makes it a comic book.
I think it's time for a Jonathan question.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah,
This might be the last segment, guys.
This might be.
It can't be.
I think so, right?
Why?
Aren't we running on?
It's a podcast.
Yeah, we can do we can break this shit into 2 pieces. What are you talking about? What, do you have somewhere to be, man?
No, I didn't want to waste your time.
What? Waste my time. Do you know what I would be doing otherwise? I would be doing exactly this, except there wouldn't be 3 people around me. I would just be sitting here smoking and talking. Not that I'm smoking.
So
that's what I would be doing at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here we go.
Ignore that smell. What?
So at Jonathan Strickland, friend of the show, you know him. You know him.
I've heard of him.
He says, yes, he is.
You feel certain kinds of ways about him.
Right. He says, ask Lucky about the time he had Alton Brown and the chief medical examiner for the state of Georgia on stage at the same time, parentheses, this was following the infamous tri-state crematory case.
Yeah, that was back in the Lucky Yates talk show. Dr. Chris Sperry, he was my most regular guest, the chief medical examiner of the state of Georgia, and he would always bring in, after things went through the court system and the trial happened, all the evidence, they would either destroy it, but sometimes Chris would grab some nuggets and say, I'm going to keep this and put it in my office. And so he brought in things like a bong made out of a human skull, a mummified hand and wrist, a skull with a big hole in it, shit like that. It was awesome. And so Alton Brown, that was Alton's first time on the show, I'm pretty sure, when he doubled up with Sperry. And I just remember the two of them before the show sitting backstage talking about where the best burger in town was. And it was like, here's a guy that handles nothing but dead people talking to the dead animal guy who cooks them.
What was the consensus for the best burger?
The Vortex.
Okay.
And this was early aughts.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say
makes
that
sense.
sounds legit.
Turn of the
early
century,
odds.
yeah.
Before a lot of like the boutique burger things arose.
We've been overrun by good burgers since then. Vortex still in the top.
I would say,
top 3 for sure.
I mean, when they had those zucchini chip things, like that was peak Vortex for me. I think they took them away. Maybe they brought them back. I don't know.
They're always.
I also still think they've done a good job of cultivating this sense of mystery by like not letting under 21 people in at all. Under 21 people, children. But it's a restaurant. But it's like, a bar. But every other restaurant in town also is a bar. What makes them special? They've chosen to do this.
Yeah, they want the bar to be more important than the restaurant.
Yes. And yet,
it's a playground for
clearly
adults.
Very important.
And it's, they got, girls with their titties hanging out all over there, hanging on the walls. And, they got like old centerfolds from, oh man, back in the day, they used to have, in the afternoon shift, they used to have the titty races. And back, in between sort of lunch and dinner when it was just dead, but there were just the barflies. The waitstaff, somebody behind the bar would call them, and the waitstaff would rip off their shirts and run around the restaurant.
Wow.
That can't be real.
Vortex. It was a golden time.
Old Atlanta.
Yeah.
And for anyone that doesn't know, the Vortex, like it's a fixture in Little 5 Points in Atlanta. It's
the
got
laughing
a big skull.
The laughing skull logo, you would absolutely recognize.
2 locations, one on Peachtree, and they've got a great little comedy club on the one next
I used to do shows in there.
You used to do shows at the Laughing Skull Lounge?
I did my talk show in the Laughing Skull Lounge, and I used to MC the Dames of Flame burlesque show in there for a couple of years.
Them. Yeah.
Oh, guys, hold on. Let's pump our brakes, take a quick ad break, and then come back for more of this.
Okay, we got back. We all went through a lot during the ad break, but we're still friends. So let's get back into it. So we've talked about a couple of things. We've gone in a couple different directions. I've got to tell you what was going on with Matt, Noel, and myself during the pandemic. We kept the show going.
Right.
We were in each other's
Business.
Zoom calls.
No.
Oh yeah, we got in each other's business because we were the people we talked to the most for like 2 years. And it was funny because I don't know about you guys, but I had to turn a room in my place away from being a bedroom and into being kind of a studio. And so I have a giant fucking plastic skeleton that lives there now, which I've grown accustomed to. But
is it one of those big Home Depot 12-foot ones?
Not yet, because of the ceiling is stopping me.
When
you know what I mean?
Selling those giant ones, I was like,
This is like a medical,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
It's Scully. It's a mascot. But so we all had these changes, and we ended up going on a couple of adventures too, man. We went to Nashville. Right? Went to Nashville. We just got back from Austin, South by Southwest. Have you ever been?
No, never.
I think we had a good time, but
I think we had a good time.
It's a lot.
I can remember some
I'm
of it.
sure it's a lot. It seems like it's too much.
Well, I mean, we weren't even involved in the actual, official events, but our company rented this gorgeous boutique hotel called the St. Cecilia, which is like kind of storied, and it's sort of off the beaten path, and it was all just populated by like CEOs and CMOs and CFOs, all the O's, and it was a closed event, so it was like, a lot of people were actually staying there, and it felt like this kind of weird respite from all the craziness of like the main drag. But we got to schmooze it up with some very powerful human beings.
All the big wigs.
A lot of fun, and saw a performance by the band AJR. They were quite good.
Did you guys know the Foo Fighters recorded a whole thing in that suite where we were hanging out?
It's called the St. Cecilia EP, and they recorded it in like the bar area in the back, I believe.
Oh,
maybe.
weird.
Yeah.
Well, so I have an ulterior motive bringing this up. It wasn't just like, hey, we want to tell you about our adventures.
I don't believe you.
I haven't.
You take your shot to brag. It's okay.
I haven't checked with you guys on this. But
oh shit!
As we
Here
get
we
some,
go.
as we get some, as we are traveling more, which all three of us love to do. We love to be on the road. What are the odds of us getting you to do something live with us?
I mean, yes.
Cool.
I
putting you
have
on
to
the
give you
spot.
odds.
Yeah. We need odds.
1-to-1.
Okay, we're not going to give you any details, by the way, about what this would be because we haven't checked.
I don't care.
Well, I mean, we've got some
You don't have to tell
Atlanta-centric
me-
stuff coming, but I mean, it'd be so fun.
I travel.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I have a truck. I know how to drive.
Okay.
Are you driving places?
Are you like big timing us now? No, we can all drive. We know how to drive.
Big timing us.
I passed my driver's
I
test
can
on the second
drive.
attempt, y'all, okay?
Oh, good work.
Yeah, thank you.
So
It's that parallel parking that gets you. But now I'm an expert at it. You got to pull directly alongside the car in front of you, cut the wheel, get back in there, and then straighten it out.
I wish this was on video so you guys could see Noel's emphatic motions.
Like
you know
3-point
this.
turn, kids. Learn about it. Memorize it, own it.
Learn it, live it.
Live in a big city where you're
Love
driving.
it.
You're going to need to
Love it.
utilize that. You're
So-
going to need to utilize that.
So that would be awesome because
Yes.
we do have big things ahead, and it always seems like these conversations are things that we would want to keep going with. We want to go hang out. Like honestly, folks, after we close the show, we might go get something to eat. I don't know where it's gonna go.
Whoa.
Eat?
I'm out.
Food?
Never mind what I just said about being available.
Ramen? What?
I am
Who said
not
ramen?
going out to eat after shows.
That's
my
a
line,
big
man.
commitment.
That's my line.
That's a big
That's my
commitment.
line. I'm
So-
sorry.
so-
Man has to have a line.
Man's got to have a code. I respect
Yeah.
that. I do think we would be remiss if we didn't end on at least a couple more questions.
No, let's do it.
Okay. Is that okay?
Hey,
Yeah.
man.
All right.
Yeah.
So-
only Matt has somewhere important to be.
No.
Yeah,
Matt-
it's at the ramen shop after we wrap. That's where it is.
So NES says, I don't.
Any at Nintendo Entertainment System?
Oh, man.
Maybe that's who it is on
Okay,
Twitter.
okay.
Says Lions. How many wins this year? Now you're a big Detroit
I am
Lions
a big
fan.
Detroit Lions fan.
Is she
Oh,
quizzing
my
him
God,
for
I
stats?
don't know.
I guess just saying. What do you think's
I'll go
predicting,
7 wins.
okay?
I'm going to say 7 wins.
is that a lot?
It is for the Lions.
Is
there
like not that good?
Okay.
No. historically the worst.
Yeah, they're kind of toward the bottom.
It's kind of an angels in the outfield type situation.
We're forever rebuilding.
Yeah.
That's very okay.
You from Detroit?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
sir. I just got back.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I've never been.
Oh, my God, it's amazing.
Is that football?
It really
or?
is amazing. It is.
I'm serious. I'm serious.
I don't know either.
Gridiron football.
Okay, cool.
Right here.
What's all this about a gridiron? Is that just like
that is
they
to
measure it in squares?
to differentiate it from real football, which is what we call soccer.
Yeah.
Way just
I
the
see.
gridiron has
Okay.
become and it's because the grid once upon a time, however the thing was laid out. I don't know where the iron part comes from. I do not know.
Well, we'll find out. Someone will write to us, but before we'll just lightning quick.
lightning
we'll laundry
round.
this. Lightning
Yeah,
round.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
can we get a sound effect? Perfect. Oh, even better. Okay, so
that? Lucky
you're
Yates
doing your
sound
own
effect.
Foley work. That's awesome. So, okay.
I went to a high school called Bishop Foley, so I'm very.
Oh, you were in the AP Foley program?
I was.
So, all right,
The
here
whole
we go.
bishop. A man made it almost to the top of Catholicism just doing Foley work.
It was between you and the guy who's the Pope now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Val says, does he put both socks on before his shoes, or one sock and one shoe before moving to the other foot?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really pay attention to how. What?
Sort of a fugue state,
I
I
don't
guess,
know,
when you get
man.
dressed.
Do you, Lucky? Do you have any pets? Right
Not
now?
anymore. He died.
Okay,
Abe Jackson.
Good old Abe Jackson, R.I.P.
Abe, we salute you.
You should see his shrine. It's glorious.
Well, I've got a long-haired white dog that is like
I had one of those. Yep.
It's like a golden.
Well aware.
Yes, and
I'm finally allowed to wear all black again.
that's exactly.
Yeah.
So for
I
me,
went all black after Abe died, and it's not because I'm mourning. It's because I couldn't really wear black clothes for 16 years because I was covered in Abe.
Gosh, okay. So for me, it's socks. If I don't vacuum like a minute before I put my socks and shoes on, they're covered in hair.
Yeah.
And then my shoes are covered in hair.
Right.
So I have to put I take my socks over to where my shoes are, put one sock on while I stand on one foot, put that shoe on, and then do the other one. Because otherwise, my whole being is inundated with hair.
Yeah. I'm glad to not have to vacuum every single day again.
Did you have to have like a bespoke kind of like pet-centric vacuum?
You try, I never really pulled the big trigger and went, what's his name, Dyson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a shark man.
Shark.
I'm a shark
Yes,
man.
They're
me
the
too.
best.
Cheers.
Yeah.
They're
Hey,
cheap and they're
not-
so good.
Not a sponsor of this podcast.
You
No,
don't
no.
want a battery-powered vacuum. They last for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want that.
I have a corded stick vacuum
Yep.
from Shark, and
Same.
it fucking rules.
Yeah.
You got a landline vacuum.
Man,
do.
you guys.
Hey, man, I don't mind whipping that cord around. I know how to work it.
Very, very last question.
I'm going to
for the
say,
show.
okay, hold
Yeah.
on. I
No,
haven't
you
really
got
gone
it?
into this.
Okay.
I probably socks first. I'm going to
Okay.
say I probably most likely both socks because, I don't know really. I don't make shoe decisions until I'm about to put them on.
Okay.
See where my head is
And
at.
you might want to be socked while hanging around the house.
There, well,
So you can do that Tom Cruise
I'll go into
floor
my-
slide
I have
situation.
learned the magic. This is only recently in my life
I like
of
slippers. I
of
like
the
a
house
slipper.
shoes.
Yeah, thank you.
Having the
Same.
house
Yeah,
shoes.
I recently got some of those as well. Game
Ditching your
changer.
outdoors. I have just a pair of Crocs, a simple pair of camo Crocs, which, by the way, I got into last year, and they are so great.
You're a croc master? You're
I
a
am
crocman?
now. I am now. I didn't think I ever would be. But 54-year-old stoner Lucky Yates loves them Crocs.
They're big with the kids,
They're
man. There's all these
comfy.
fashion Crocs now with little
you
little
get your
dingle dangles you put
your
on there.
giblets or whatever they're called. They're called something like that.
Yeah.
Gimlets? No.
No, they're little things you stick in the
Yeah,
holes,
your
little charms.
buttons,
you know?
little buttons and charms, and they're called like giblets.
Giblet. Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
Crocs giblets.
All right. Well, okay.
Okay, so
Sort it
sock.
out.
I put my socks on first.
All right. There you
Person.
go.
Who was that? Who
That
am I
is
answering?
Val.
Val.
And NES was the Lions. StockX was the
I'm going to say
hard-hitting.
7 wins.
7 wins. Okay, very last
StockX,
question.
I am apologizing. No, I'm not apologizing. You're StockX. I love Archer.
Yes, we do too, actually. It's weird because we don't often talk about it with you. That was the first time we really did. Last question of the show.
Are you sure?
I believe so. All right.
What if I have a question?
Yeah.
Last question from us for the show. Well, from me, and then
Noel hasn't asked a single question.
That's not true.
That's not true. But okay. So
I'm just trying to listen, get some incite some emails.
Yeah. There we go. So
I got to get that chat feed working.
Since we haven't talked in years on air, is there any conspiracy or conspiracy theory that you've been thinking about?
We never got back to UFOs are real. We never got there.
Yeah, we just mentioned that, and we're all like, oh, yeah, right.
Like, UFOs are goddamn here.
Yes.
They're back. They're checking us out. We don't know what they're doing. People from the Navy are like, it's a UFO. I don't know what it is. It can't move like that if it's from this planet. It can't dive into water and keep up the same rate of speed as it does in the air and then zip right back out.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And everybody's like, I don't like the other person because...
Well, I mean, when people think about disclosure, I think they're expecting like an alien envoy to land and shake hands
and
with the fucking president.
People want the spectacle. So
this
just having these
this is
little things...
underwhelming to those people, I think. But absolutely, it's nothing that we haven't already all been pretty confident about, whether these are extraterrestrial or that's just like secret military experiments that we're not being made aware of, whatever. There's absolutely stuff that we don't know about technology-wise that exists.
Do you guys have theories? Have you gone through this already?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have.
What was the weirdest one? In the document, there was one point, Ben, that or a couple. But there was one in particular that was like, that's a weird one to just drop in there.
Yeah, so there are two versions of this document. One for Congress, which has a lot more detail. The one the public can see, which is literally like 2-3 pages, and most of it is we need more money because it's a government document. But there is that one point where they're breaking down all the stuff they think it could be. It's the usual stuff from Project Blue Book. And at the end, they say, there's a bunch that we don't know about, or it has technology that we do not understand. So like this science is beyond the observers.
Yeah. And this, and for everybody who was like, well, we don't know, it could be some Russian thing that look at how it's going in the Ukraine.
Yeah, Russians
they
not
do
the
not
best
have
at tech.
technology to do this thing.
I can't remember what show we were talking about this on. Well, I mean, Russia is known for being savvy with technology, but also sloppy, and they Russia things.
It seems,
but like, there's a whole community around like weird Russian synthesizers from the 80s that are like collectible, but also weird, and some are kind of shitty, but in a fun way. And the same, we talked about like the payloads potentially and like the nuclear arsenal they have. Who knows what state of repair they're in, how old they are, if they'll even fucking fire, Yeah. So no, I don't, again, no shade on any Russian people out there. I mean, the people I'm fine with the people. It's the leadership I have beef
leadership
with.
And the hired militia.
Absolutely.
Armies.
But I'm just saying, like, they are known for being a little bit quick and loose with their tech.
They can't pull this off, though, man. Not without us going like, oh, yeah, sure, that's a bling, blang, blom. So they're not sitting on,
So then why if indeed there are things piloted by non-human intelligence of some sort.
Is it dimensional?
Yeah, right. That's one possibility.
Is it a dimensional cross? Is it a time cross?
Why? What's the end game? What do you think? Why would they be here?
Well, it's just they're so quick and like they zip around and then disappear that it seems that it's either joyride.
Some teenager. It's some alien teens.
Or it's just an experimental, look what we can dip in here, zoom around, look what, they got this, I don't know. I really have no idea.
Maybe recon of some kind?
That would be great.
Maybe it's like those drive-through safari preservations.
There's some
in Georgia where they're like,
there could be some alien hillbilly charging, this is just some car. That gets to drive through the path of the ape-run planet.
Now,
there's a bunch of murder apes that run this planet. You want to go there? It's weird. There's a lot of pretty stuff, and then the murder apes.
And then they're like, they're rating it on Alien Yelp, and they're like, I didn't see a single murder.
Yeah.
I think we'll go back, though, because the gift shop is dope. 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah. Went into do you know this place is mostly water? They didn't say that in the brochure.
we have water at home.
Yeah.
So thankfully,
from
their
an
crafts
aqua
can
planet.
zip around between the water and the
I
air.
mean,
That's
it
neat.
might be since they're, what's the deal with being able to dip into the ocean and then come back out at the same rate? Like, that's just bananas.
It is really crazy.
Unless it's some sort of, Matt.
No, it's okay.
Matt's literally doing the thing where he takes his finger and points it right at his temple to indicate an idea.
I've been playing way too many science fiction video games lately and consuming way too much of this stuff. I'm imagining this, guys. What if there are independent or independently evolved civilizations that get far advanced, right? That could potentially make it.
Sure, the whole Atlantis thing, there was a technologically advanced civilization here before, and then it all went away.
Yeah,
as seen in the Disney documentary film Atlantis.
And also, there's that weird computer thing that they don't know how they did back then.
The Antikythera mechanism.
That's the baby.
Yeah, but okay, so that occurs, right, in various places throughout our galaxy, and when they get to this is really just the game Mass Effect, but once they get to a sufficient level...
Sorry, my good friend Mark Meer.
Oh, gosh. But when they get to a certain level, there's like a federation of some sort where everybody kind of agrees if we're going to, make use of technology at this level, we're going to cooperate or, face consequences the way a NATO currently is in our in this planet, in this reality.
North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Yes. So these things that we're observing that we can't understand, that we can see, are like the CIA of these various species and civilizations coming down and doing little like
recon
and wet work and like little things that they have to do. And so they can't outwardly interact with us and change the course of history.
Oh, and I bet somebody got fired for how much they made the news for that one.
They can just
being seen.
They can just get into people's butts, mess with some cattle, and then they're out.
Do you think we're getting like the Gomer Piles?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if we're getting the A-list. Of the explorers.
What did you do? They saw me, Sarge. Can't help it.
But there's like a Herbert Hoover up there, version of one of them.
Flipping tables and just screaming mercilessly in people's faces.
Well, I would like that because it would make this understandable. To me, the biggest missing piece is the why. Right. And you'll see people say that it's to prevent nuclear war or something like that. And we'll get into
what
this
is
later.
to prevent nuclear war?
Well,
there was
that one thing where maybe they disabled a nuclear power plant or something like that.
That's the idea.
That's the biggie. Yeah.
And I've found some interesting stuff about it. But other than that, I would love it if it turned out there were some intergalactic or interdimensional bumblers who were like, they crash land there, and instead of saying, take me to your leader, they're like, hey, we got to hide out real quick.
Yeah.
Remember that movie Spaced Invaders?
No.
Yeah, it was a small, very dumb, minor 90s creature type movie. It was a comedy about these stoner aliens that crash land on Earth and then just drink a bunch of beer and like look at boobs and stuff.
I love this movie.
I saw it in the theaters. I distinctly remember seeing it, and I was the only one in the theater.
It sounds like something that's probably on Amazon Prime.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to look Spaced with an ED Invaders.
Judi Dench, Cate Blanchett, Sir Ben Kingsley.
They're all in there.
They're all in Spaced Invaders.
Very early Tilda Swinton. She's unrecognizable as the lead alien.
They shot it on the Excalibur set.
Yes, they did, in a spare weekend, right?
Oh, man. I want it all.
I know.
Give me all of it.
I
have a theory.
Okay.
That mankind is that Earth is a prison planet, much like Australia, where we are the worst of the worst from some planet. They dumped people, whoever here, because they're like, we got to get rid of them.
They thought these genes are trash.
Yeah, these are terrible, whatever we are. So put them on that nice little planet. They'll be able to live. SETI Alpha 5. SETI Alpha 6. This is SETI Alpha 6. That's a little Wrath of Khan.
I love it. And we think, there's all this Purple Mountain's majesty and all this stuff, but compared to the other planets, this is all garbage.
Because we don't know where the cognitive leap came from. We don't know where all the, how did we make this leap from little forest creature to this weird hairless ape we are now? What if? and these are maybe just some guards. Like, hey, we should go check on that prison planet, see what's going on. Oh my
Make
God,
sure they
look what
don't
they've
blow
done.
up the whole
Oh my God,
universe.
they figured out nukes. Shit, they're not as dumb as we thought.
But yet dumber than we thought.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Or you're like, oh yeah, it's going exactly as we planned.
Yep.
That could also be it. They just have to come by and go like, oh yeah, they're on track.
Fill out a
They'll
report.
destroy each other in another 40 years, guys. Don't sweat it.
That's brilliant because we really wouldn't be able to hurt anything else outside of the
Right.
very short range of our planet.
Well, and they might start showing up again now because we are starting to come up with plans to colonize other planets. And they're like, oh, no. You're not allowed to get off that one that we put you on.
Space exploration is huge. It gives us a lot of new science for people on Earth as well. Like, it is a net benefit, but maybe we should I don't know.
It's also a very human idea of imprisonment, right?
Yeah.
Like, but we did it with Australia and we do it with buildings, like just lock them there.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say we're not some intergalactic criminal species?
Or at the very least in timeout to think about what we've done.
I think we thought about it a lot and we just keep doing it.
Just kept doing it.
We've been thinking about it since the ancient Greeks.
Yes.
Lucky, we're a viral life form that was discovered, and they isolated us here to keep us under observation.
Or it's a simulation, and we're all just
I love that
zeros
one.
and ones.
And I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. If we're a simulation, or if we're all being run, I'm just an avatar for some whatever, because when you sit there and think, you're like, well, who is it that's thinking?
Yeah.
My dude's pretty awesome.
You're like, this guy
kudos to
gets
my
me.
guy. Yeah, he puts me in trouble sometimes, but he always gets me out of it. Yeah, I like my controller.
That's awesome.
So I got no problems with that one.
And we are going to call it a day for our avatars, for your avatars alike. Fellow conspiracy realists, thank you as always so much for tuning in. Lucky, thank you for coming back.
Sirs, anytime.
It's a
Literally.
joy. Honestly, we haven't done an in-person episode. We've done Ridiculous History together a couple of times, but I don't think the three of us have done this since the pandemic.
No.
We were in that
So
we were
this
in
is
that panel,
Moment one.
Yeah.
but we were like by far the least drunk people there.
And we were pretty drunk.
Well,
So
What? No.
I can neither confirm nor deny, but if you check out our book, you'll also learn the etymology of the statement confirm nor deny. Always be closing. Check out Lucky's comic, Lucky Yates. Where can people learn more about you and your work? I hear you're tweeting.
I'm back on the Twitters. You can look at me there, and the Instagrams.
And the
You want
Instagrams.
to see what I look like when I'm smoking weed? Post a lot of pictures of that.
Is that at Lucky Yates?
At Lucky Yates. I'm not hiding from anybody. I have a Twitch channel, which I toyed with doing something with, but I
do you game on it, or do you use it more
I
for
play
just...
Animal Crossing, but I wouldn't.
I could never
have
get into Animal
no
Crossing.
idea
It
how to
wasn't-
hook
it
that up
wasn't
to
for me.
Oh, really? I have to go every day and dig up some fossils.
That's what I'm saying. It just feels like a more
It's kinda
elaborate
bullshit.
Tamagotchi. You know?
I don't want to start.
I
down
can't
a
tell
new
if you're
road.
joking or
You
not,
just
Lucky.
wrapped it
He's
up.
not
No,
joking.
I will
He's
go
not
on
joking.
for an hour about Animal Crossing. So you were wrapping it up. Let's wrap it up.
So that's where
Where
you
can
find
people
Lucky.
visit your island? Is that a thing?
Yeah, Bong Rip Bay.
All right.
My guy Butt Munch of Bong Rip Bay.
You're killing it with the names.
My flag is a smoking pong. It's the best.
Lester
Of the Lesser Gods.
Remember that. Go
Son
check
of
it
Odin.
out.
Mhm. And
36-year-old LARP nerd finds out he's the son of Odin.
Is there a new season of Archer on the way? Are we mid?
We're in the middle of recording
okay.
it,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I have no idea when it airs.
Yeah.
Season 13, probably the fall. I'm going to assume the fall.
Did I hear
based
it was
on where
maybe
we
going to
are.
be the last season, or is that?
And that's always
People-
said.
that floats.
That's people. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
ever since we finished we had a 3-year contract, and then we've just gone back to like yearly renewals since
Got
then.
it.
And so everybody, Jessica Walter died, right? And so
Absolutely.
everybody just sort of assumed, well, that's going to be it. But I mean, the show is still riotously funny.
Agreed.
So,
And as long as you all enjoy doing it.
as
I
long
just
as
love
the
to
network likes putting it on the
You kind of do a voice on the show. It's sort of
Not
you.
really.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
just go into my lower.
Exactly.
It's
But
just
like,
I'm down here.
I love how H. John Benjamin just never has to not be H. John Benjamin, no matter what character he's playing. And he's got these starring cartoon roles.
He's got that
are
other voice, which he
identical.
does on
Bob's.
what's the home movies?
No, yeah.
That's just him too.
Yeah, but it's him with like a stuffed up nose.
Does he do a different voice other than
does,
Coach
but-
McGurk? On
No, he does.
movies?
Yeah, he does one of the kids.
Oh,
And
I
he's
didn't
just
know
a
that.
stuffed
Okay.
up nose. It's just John with a stuffed up nose.
That's so funny. I love it.
What are
Brandon. He's that guy.
what are the weird voices you can do, folks? Let us know. 1-833-STDWYTK. Just all you have to do is let us know if we can use your name and or message on air. You can also find us on the internet.
Yeah, it's true. Oh,
I was just gonna. Yeah. No.
We should do it. Like I said, remember the aforementioned Facebook group? Here's where it gets crazy, where you can also dogpile on that guy if you wish. I'm just kidding. You can if you want. It's up to you. Who are we to say? And
I would like to remind people to just tweet bomb iHeartMedia and tell them demand more Lucky Yates.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The Lucky Yates call-in show.
The Lucky Yates call-in podcast show. Come on,
I want
man.
to see that in the world. You can also find
Live
us
stream
on
that shit.
Twitter as well, where we are at Conspiracy Stuff, which is what we're also at on Facebook and YouTube, and on Instagram we are at Conspiracy Stuff Show. If you wish, you can find us as individual human people. I am on Instagram exclusively at How Now Noel Brown. Benjamin Bolin, how about you?
You can see some upcoming research. You can help me out with some stuff if you want to go to at Ben Bolin HSW on Twitter. In a burst of creativity, I am indeed at Ben Bolin BOWLIN on Instagram. Matt, not sipping the social media.
No, it's fine. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Gladys the Glorious Dodo. That is my handle.
The whole time.
No, I'm just joking. I don't have. I have one.
Have you been
but
catfishing Lucky about this whole religion?
Well, he slipped up with glorious. It's holy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
But I thought, that's a really great. That's a great name.
And if you don't want to, if you don't also engage with social media, if it's just not your bag of badgers,
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. And if you don't care to call people on the phone, totally get it. But you can always write to us whenever you wish, 24/7, as they say, at our good old-fashioned email address, where we are
Conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.